Hello everyone. I want to talk to you about the current state of the negotiations for Brexit, and I want to talk about where the country is heading. Just over a year ago, we had a historic referendum about the future of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The result of that referendum was a surprise to many, and some have hailed it as almost a miracle. The odds were firmly stacked in favour of a Remain vote. That didn't come to pass, much to the surprise of our government and the main politicians, the main media commentators, and many of those who believe they know better than the rest of us. So what has happened? In the year since that astonishing result, what has happened is very little. We've had weak and unstable government that has led to a failure to actually properly enact the will of the people. Since the astonishing result of the general election, where the Conservative Party, having held and called that election early, in my opinion, in order to gain advantage from opinion polling that was showing them a long way ahead, actually suffered quite serious setbacks, and the pro-EU Labour Party made significant gains, there's even more uncertainty, and the government is even more weak and wobbly rather than the strength that they promised us. So we need to now understand where we're going to go from here. The will of the people is stated. They still clearly want Brexit. So it's down to people now, like myself, members of the European Parliament, to assert the pressure that is required to make sure the will of the people is listened to. In the midst of all the confusion, another tactic has been taken by those who wanted for the vote to be Remain in the referendum. They now put forward this idea of a soft Brexit, as if there was such a thing as a soft or hard Brexit. This is a very simple and straightforward situation. We're either a full member of the European Union or we're not. And frankly, when they talk of this soft Brexit, what they actually mean is continued membership of the single market. To remain a member of the single market, the United Kingdom would have to concede to many of the things about the EU that many of our voters found that they didn't want. So you can forget about changing rules and regulations, you can forget about controlling more of our own VAT levels and corporate taxes, and you can forget entirely about controlling our borders and the numbers of immigration. Now, these were massive issues, particularly the one about the borders and immigration. They were huge issues. Those of us who campaigned during the referendum, every second of every day were being asked about this. So when people say to you, oh, let's go for a soft Brexit, what they actually mean is no Brexit at all. What they actually mean is the wishes of the people to be ignored and for the establishment to tell us that they know best. I reject that. I think that it would be completely anti-democratic, completely unfair, and quite frankly un-British for a vote of the people in such huge numbers to be ignored in this way, or for an attempt by people to pull the wool over people's eyes in this dishonourable, really disgraceful fashion. I think we're a bit smarter than that in our country. We've had the debate, we've had the discussion, we had the vote with a record turnout. Now it's the responsibility of the powers that be, the government, to make sure this happens. Here in the European Parliament, we'll be watching closely the negotiations that go on from this point forward. And if there is any attempt by the British government to come up with some contrived nonsense that keeps us in the single market, we'll be keeping you alerted to that. Obviously, there are people here in the EU who didn't want us to leave, and they will find in some of the weak members of our national government potential allies that are thwarting the will of the people. There are also people within our government who, quite frankly, wish to betray the will of the people, wish there'd never been a referendum, and will go out of their way to try and find a way of counteracting what the people wanted. We need to monitor them as well, and we will be watching them, and we will be reporting back. As far as I'm concerned, there is one great mission left for those of us who are out here as members of the European Parliament, one historic mission to follow through on. Yes, we played a part in leading the campaign for Brexit. And we achieved an amazing result with the help of so many people who'll be watching this and in the general public as well. It was a wonderful day. But now our duty, for those of us who are privileged enough to have been voted for to come to this place, is to observe the negotiations, observe what's going on, and look to the future and tell you all exactly whether or not you're really getting the deal that you wanted. And quite frankly, if there is an unacceptable deal, it really is better to walk away without one. It's the only way that your wishes will be respected, and democracy must be paramount, and the wishes of the people must come first. So we'll be watching this. We're also pushing very hard to encourage the British government to be involved with trade deals with other countries outside of the EU, as well as dealing with our friends in the EU. And I spent a little bit of time in the United States recently myself, actually pushing for that to happen, talking to congressmen on Capitol Hill and having really fruitful and positive discussions. So there is a bright future. There's a lot to be excited about. Let's be positive. Let's really think about this as the way forward for us to once again be a great nation with its people free and happy. I believe we can do it. I think the chances are still wonderful, but we have to remain firm. Our government may be weak and wobbly. Our people have never been anything other than strong, determined and robust in their desire to get their wishes carried through. And I will work with our people, on behalf of our people, to ensure that their democratic freedom and rights are enshrined by us becoming a free and independent nation again, and Brexit really being a true Brexit without any weasel words from weak-willed politicians trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I'll be here to be your eyes and ears, and I'll give it my all. Keep watching this space. Thank you.